Hello everybody, I am Fuzzy Face and welcome back to this Williams Resurrection career. We're back today with episode 3 of season 2 or part 20 overall, whichever way you like to go through the episodes. Last time out we raced in Doha, the equivalent of the Bahrain Grand Prix, even though Doha is in Qatar. We finished second with Esteban Ocon. Throughout the race it looked like he was going to be on for a 5th place finish. He was quite comfortable in that position. Through the safety car we managed to move him up to 4th place. Safety car came out, we made a pretty decent strategy call, got him up into 4th place, and then later on in the race we had Valtteri Bottas in the Ferrari, Lewis Hamilton in the Mercedes, both needing to make pretty late on pit stops to repair their car. Moved us up into 2nd place, so our first podium of the season. Last season, throughout the whole season, we only managed 1 podium, which was, if I recall, I think it was the Portuguese or the South African. The South African, the equivalent of Monaco. I can't quite remember which one it is, but anyway, we'll move on to the car. If we look at what's going on at the moment, we've got 2 new rear wings built at the moment. We've got a new suspension built, and we've got 2 new front wings built as well. So hopefully, well, not even hopefully, they're going to be ready to go in the car at the Portuguese Grand Prix, which is a race after this one, which is the first point of the season that I can introduce Aero, a new Aero package to the car. If you've seen the videos before, there's certain points in the season where I can introduce upgrades, and they're the only races that I can do so. We're currently building another new suspension. Whether I can get that reliable or enough for the race is another question. But even if it's not reliable, I need to stick it in the car, because if I don't actually stick it in the car for the Portuguese Grand Prix, then I cannot introduce that part in the car until Milan. Whereas I can put it in the car and then work on the reliability after. It won't affect the performance for that race if we do need to repair it, but it needs to be stuck in the car from that point. Otherwise it will be sat on the shelf for, is it 6 races? It will be stuck on the shelf from there all the way through to Milan. So yeah, quite a lot of time there. But as it is, Ocon's 5th in the driver's standings at the moment. We're doing alright for money. We've got sponsors coming due in 2 races time, which should see us get another 20 million into the bank account. But today we've got the Chinese Grand Prix. We're heading to Beijing. Top speed is crucial, rear wing is crucial as well, so it looks like a track we could be pretty decent on, although the gearbox is crucial as well. Our gearbox is not the best and is something we're going to be working on to put into the car for the Canadian Grand Prix. But hopefully we're going to have a decent race here. It looks like it's going to be really rainy in practice. We're going to have a little bit of rain in qualifying, which hopefully doesn't mess up the AI too much, and it's going to be quite a lot of rain for the race. So could be a track where we're going to need a lot of intermediates on the car, but we don't know until we actually get to the race to see what the weather's actually going to be like. We'll stick with Martini. There's not a lot of money available for the bonus pool. Martini, who we will be losing in 2 races time, possibly moving on to a bigger and better sponsor, but we'll just have to wait until that comes around. Meanwhile, both guys are still unhappy a little bit with the car, but they're happy with the car against each other. So yeah, we're going to jump straight in to the next part of this video, and we'll be back with qualifying in a second. So here we go with qualifying. Sirotkin's about to start his first flying lap. Even though it is wet on track, most of the AI cars came out on dry compound tyres. So to make things fair, we followed them. So possibly not going to be the best lap. We're going to be able to improve on this really late on in the session if it doesn't rain again. So we'll just see what we can get off this first lap. Sirotkin, 1.5 seconds down, although we can't really tell what it's going to be like due to the rain, because as we've seen, Vettel and these guys at the top did it on a lot drier track than what we're doing this lap on. So Ocon, we would possibly expect him to see him slower than Sirotkin after the first lap, because he would have been on a little bit of a wetter track. So we're pretty near the back, although this first lap here is not indicative of what is going to be happening in this qualifying session. So here we go with our second qualifying lap of the session. Sirotkin following Lewis Hamilton, although he won't be able to keep pace with him. As we usually see, the Force India guys and the Saubers and so on, the Haas's, did their second stint early whilst the track was still wet, the AI not working properly as usual in qualifying. I don't know why it just can't see out, but Sirotkin quite a bit quicker on this lap as we'd expect. He manages to go 5th, although he will be moving down as some of these cars down the bottom start to move themselves up the order. Ocon comes across the line in 12th place, actually behind Sirotkin here. Sirotkin out qualifying his teammate, who realistically it should be a lot better than him. But as we know with Ocon, he does have that racer stat which bumps him up to like a 4.5 star rated driver for the race. So 11th and 12th is not too bad. We have a good shot at points here in China. But again, that all depends on what the weather's going to be doing and whether we can get the strategy spot on in this race. It's going to be interesting to see just how much rain we're actually going to be seeing here. So we won't go over the qualifying grid at the moment. Although we see the two McLarens next to each other there, we can see. It looks like a Ferrari on pole. Didn't actually look at all. So we just want to look. When's the rain coming? We've got a period where the full wets are going to be in effect, but a lot of the races are going to be done on the intermediate tyre. So would that be more beneficial for us to take the boost for the intermediate, and when it starts raining we've got the nice boost for the intermediates? Or would it be better to go for the hard boost? So there's 47 laps here. We need to at least get, because we're possibly going to do 2 stints on this intermediate tyre, because you can only go for 13 laps, and it looks from around lap 15 up until lap 35. So yeah, so the intermediate is the definite one to go for. Should we start the race on hard, or should we go for medium? No, hard, because then we can get the first pit stop. It's just a matter of looking after these tyres just until the rain comes. So if we can just do a one stop all the way up until then, since we're outside the top 10, we can start on the hardest compound tyre. I've got my own rules as well for the grid. If we're inside the top 10, then we have to start on one of the 2 softest compound tyres. If we're outside the top 10 in qualifying, I can start on any tyre I want. So since we're outside the top 10, we can go for the hard. We can make ourselves last until this rain's coming. Meanwhile, we've got a little bit of room to push on this hard tyre. The fuel rate that we've been burning at recently doesn't seem to be that high, but anyway, we'll just quickly go through the grid. Vettel and Hamilton on the front row as usual, swapping places this time around. Kevin Magnussen in his debut season in that Mercedes car in 3rd on the grid. The second row is rounded out by Daniel Ricciardo in the Red Bull, Valtteri Bottas in the Ferrari on the medium tyre. They're going to struggle, a lot of these cars in the top order, to get through doing one stop until the rain does come. So they're going to be stopping and maybe being on an intermediate tyre a little bit earlier than they would want to be on a dry track. Max Verstappen 6th, Nico Hulkenberg qualifying well again, but as we've seen Renault drop down the order. Rosenquist qualifying decently though for a Renault, but I would expect both these to fall away as they often do. And it looks like we've got the return of the dodgy necks this season. Stoffel Van Dorn with a dodgy neck beating out his teammate Kimi Räikkönen. Both the McLarens rounding out the top 10. And then we see on the 6th row of the grid, we've got both of our guys. Sergei Sorokin a little bit quicker than Esteban Ocon. Maybe that's because Sergei Sorokin's in a little better form than Ocon. We don't know. But then we see the first appearance of the Haas on the grid, of Carlos Sainz in 13th, Sergio Perez 14th in the Force India. We got the first Toro Rosso, 15th for Pierre Gasly, the House of Roman Grosjean in 16th, Charles Leclerc, Billy Johnson in 17th and 18th, and then Nikita Mazepin in the Force India 19th, and Marcus Ericsson, as was the case last season, a fixture in that 20th place in the Sauber. Looks like that could be his main place this season. We're just going to have to see who gets a better start here. We're the only car on the hard tyre, so everyone else is going to have to be pitting or coming into the pits before the rain even starts to come. So it's just about us holding position on these hard tyres as a lot of the cars around us. And Ocon once again, an absolutely brilliant start for him, sets the quickest first sector off the line, although he's under pressure now from Valtteri Bottas, who managed to get past him. But Ocon's got the inside line but switches to the outside. You can't keep that inside line going into that long sweeping bend. But Ocon up into 8th place. Sergei Sorokin's dropped 3 places down to 14th. We're going to want to push this hard tyre. We want to just sort of make this hard tyre last. So I don't really want to push it any more than we have to do. Sorokin's still in with a shot at points if he can still keep this going towards the end of the race. But Ocon, as usual, looks like he's just settling into this place. We should be able to make this pass on Hulkenberg, because we did seem a lot quicker than the Renaults last time out. But whether that's the case here in China. Oh, and we've got, that is, who is that? Is that Valtteri Bottas? Bottas has crashed into the tyre walls on the second to last corner here in China. No safety car out on track, which would have helped a lot of these other cars out maybe. Although the AI probably wouldn't have pitted with so much tyre left on a tyre. but no safety car out, no virtual safety car. Valtteri Bottas out of the race, which makes things good for us. We don't have that second Ferrari to compete with in this sort of top 5 order of where we would hopefully want to see our car be. Maybe we might need to down back on what we're doing, pushing this tyre pretty soon, because it looks like it's wearing out at the same rate as these mediums are, 84% to 79%. We've still got a bit of life at the moment, but I think we can, since it is Sergio Perez behind in that slow Force India. It seems this season the Force India pretty slow. We've got another Force India behind our other car. That's Nikita Mazepin, who made a decent start as well. So we might just have to dial down on these tyres, but there's nothing much to be done at the moment. Lap 4, so we'll speed up to the second level of speed, maybe the third level of speed here. Ocon, 7th place. We're just holding these positions at the moment. So Sorokin in 14th place himself. We're back on lap 8. So Sorokin's moved up into 13th place. He's managed to get past Carlos Sainz. He's just made another move on Charles Leclerc there. He's managed to get himself up into 12th place. He's right on the back of Kimi Raikkonen. We think we're going to have to... Kimi Raikkonen's already lining up a pit stop. So we're just going to have to look after these tyres from this point forward to make sure we can get through to when the rain's starting. Although that should be pretty easy to do. Obviously, this hard tyre now is a lot quicker than these used soft tyres. Sorokin has moved himself up into 11th. Ocon is still occupying this 7th place. He's got a gap either side of him. He's got the Force India of Sergio Perez still behind him. In front of him is Hulkenberg has pitted, so Ocon has now moved up into 5th place. And as we've seen, they've come in for a pair of fresh softs. Or Van Dorn didn't have any softs left. Has gone to a used pair of softs. But they're going to have to pit again once this rain comes. Although they pitted pretty early there. Lap 8, I'm sure these soft tyres can go a lot longer than that, 9 laps, so they burnt through that first set of tyres. Sorokin himself is up into 8th place, which we should be able to make stick, because a lot of these other cars are going to need to pit. And as we see, Ocon is now out into the lead of this race, as we've seen everyone else pit. Hamilton effectively leading here. We shouldn't be able to beat him even with this strategy, but we do have a really good chance of getting another podium finish here in the 3rd race of the season. We're just waiting for that rain to come. Sorokin running in 3rd as well. He's got Lewis Hamilton right behind him. Felix Rosenqvist in the Renault going strong as well. He's doing pretty well. He's on a strategy much like our own. It looks like Sorokin's finally being passed by that much quicker Mercedes, although Sorokin, our Mercedes engine, not a match for the Works Mercedes engine. But Ocon doing a pretty good job up front. He's lapping in the 1 minute at the moment. There's not a lot of cars doing much at the moment around that sort of time. We're just sort of hanging on. Maybe we can sort of recover the fuel as well from this point forward, since we're just sort of waiting for this rain to come now as we enter another little sort of lull in the race. What is Vettel lapping at the moment is about a second quicker than Sorokin at the moment. We wouldn't be expecting Sorokin to hold on to the 3rd place. Sorokin does a 1.8. Vettel is in the 59 seconds, so almost 2 seconds quicker. So when is this rain coming? We do have some life in this tyre, so let's get Sorokin pushing here a little bit. And let's maybe get Ocon pushing a little bit, because we've got a little bit of life in these tyres. A harder compound tyre can get down to 0%. We know it's going to say that they're in the red zone, but obviously we know that these can get down to 0% without losing much life. They're a little bit cold as well, so if we get pushing now, we should start to see a couple of improved lap times. Maybe we can get Ocon back under the 1 minute. Would be good on this hard tyre at this point in the race. We started to see a lot of other cars come into the pits. Did we see some other cars pit? No, it seemed like there was more, and maybe it was just the trick of Van Dorn being in the pits. But Ocon does a, what's he going to be doing this lap? He does a 59.8, so back under a minute with the lap time. Sorokin as well doesn't get back under a minute, but going pretty decently himself. So it looks like the rain has started. We can see a little bit of blue there, so we're gonna, should we get in for these inters this lap? The track is not quite suitable this lap, so if we can get another lap out of these hard tyres and then come in for the inters. We're seeing a couple of cars pit, although that is because Hamilton's worn down those soft tyres that he had on. So if we can get pushing on these tyres now, we've got enough to go overtake attack mode with those, and we're going to line Ocon up for this intermediate tyre. We've got pretty much the A crew in the pits again, but not quite. We're about a tenth slower than we sometimes usually are. Whether the track is still suitable for this dry tyre at the moment, a lot of other cars have come in for the Inters, so we're going to see where Ocon can get back out on track here. He's going to come in, hopefully we're going to have a nice, decent, quick pit stop, and that is done. 3.5 seconds, a mistake on the rear jack. Not good enough there, and a 1.8 for Sorokin, but Ocon comes back out into the lead of the race in front of Lewis Hamilton. We don't think we're going to be able to hold off Hamilton here, but if we can do it, that would be amazing. We've got left in this race, we've got 31 laps remaining. If we look after this intermediate tyre, we might be able to do it with one stop, although try to get as far as we can. No, because if we go into then we can get on the wet for the end of the race, because there's going to be maybe 5 or 6 laps, maybe not even that at the end of the race where the full wets are in effect. So we're just going to have to sort of play it by ear and see what the AI does. We've sort of recovered all that fuel as well that we'd burned off earlier in the race, so we can get back to pushing now. Sorokin as well, running in 4th place. Absolutely amazing from him. The AI, as we saw they did, had to do 2 pit stops before the rain even started. Don't know why any of the AI didn't go onto the hard tyre. We've got their pit strategy set to realistic, which means they should be able, or gives them the best chance to do their best strategy. Who knows why none of them tried to go for the hard tyre. Just guess we'll never know. But Sorokin holding on to this 4th place, as we saw last season. Whether it's something to do with his stats or not, he was a really good defensive driver. Vettel slowing down as well. So what we see, we just need to go as long as we can on this intermediate tyre at the moment. Ocon in 1st place, Sorokin 4th place, still holding on. Are we quicker than Hamilton? We're actually quicker than Hamilton at the moment, although that's because we're possibly pushing the fuel. The customer team beating the works team with this Mercedes engine. Doing a really good job of holding him off, actually. Whether we're going to be able to keep that going, as we see we're starting to slow down Hamilton. Must be conserving to go for another push in a bit, as we see he keeps turning up his engine to up, and we see Hamilton pit already. What's Hamilton going for? Is he coming in for a full wet tyre? Why would he get off the Inters to go for a full wet tyre? We've seen a lot of cars do it. Maybe that level is suitable for the full wet. So if we push this intermediate now, because the wets start working sort of from about the halfway mark once it gets up to 3/4 full. So it looks like the wet tyre should be an option here. He's going to try get the undercut on us, but we should be a lot further out in front of him if we push the tyres here. Maybe we should respond to that. Yeah, we're seeing everyone pit for wet tyres, so we're going to have to respond here. Otherwise we risk losing this position that we've got. Hopefully we're not going to have another pit stop like we did last time where we had a mistake on Ocon's car. We're not going to go for a safe pit stop. We want all the time we can get to get out in front of Hamilton again. He's 20 seconds behind. Doesn't look like he's lapping any quicker than us at the moment, but we're going to see here. We lose the map, so we're not going to be able to see. Where is Lewis Hamilton here? Lewis Hamilton is still behind us, and we hold him up coming out of the pits. There's a mistake on the tyres for Sorokin, making a lot of mistakes this time around, but Sorokin, almost got back into 4th place. He's out into 6th place here. So these wet tyres, yeah, because it looks like the wet's going to be there pretty much to the end of the race, doesn't it? So we're going to have to look after these wet tyres and get onto another pair of wet tyres towards the end of the race. He's going to do 13 laps, 14 laps after this one. So pretty comfortable what we can do. So we've got 2 wet stints here to do, it looks like, would be the best option. But Ocon still holding off Lewis Hamilton here in the rain in China. If we can make this stick, and Lewis Hamilton's conserving fuel at the moment, whereas we're pushing, maybe if we stick in a few laps in overtake mode and push mode, we can open up this gap to a couple of seconds. 8 tenths in front at the moment, so we're just going to open that up. So Sorokin, meanwhile, should we give him some work to do, because he does have a Red Bull in front of him and a Red Bull behind him. So if you get him going all out here, we should have the tyre life to do this for maybe a lap without overheating these tyres too much, because the weather, the temperature is pretty low. So we're not in any danger of overheating these tyres. And meanwhile, we've opened up the gap to just under, a shade under 1.4 seconds now, so we're going to go back and we're going to try recover this fuel. So we've got a little bit of room towards the end of the race. So Sorokin, meanwhile, has managed to get past Ricciardo whilst pushing all out here. He's moved himself up into 5th place. So we've just got the 2 Mercedes and one of the Ferraris in front of us, and we're pulling away from Ricciardo a little bit here as well. What did we do on that last lap? A 1:02 on the wet tyre, which is a pretty decent lap time considering we're doing a shade over 1 minute before. So we'll just keep Sorokin pushing here. So we've got a nice little bit of a gap open. What did we do on that last lap? A 1:02.6. So now we're going to go back, and it should take about 10 laps to recover that. So we're in no danger with the fuel either. Ocon, meanwhile, Hamilton's starting to catch us up a tiny little bit, but not much. So Ocon is still in a really good position here. With this strategy that we've managed to do, 1 stop less than everyone else, he's still in a really good position. Without doing that stop, we would possibly still be around here, 8th or 10th. Sorokin possibly round about where he was in 14th. We've saved about 20 seconds at the moment or so with having 1 less pit stop, because we didn't actually lose any time on that hard tyre. We didn't have to make the tyre last. We just ran the normal race and didn't lose any time. But Ocon now is still holding this 0.8 of a second gap back to Hamilton. Sorokin's holding this 1 minute gap to Daniel Ricciardo. As we see, we're a little bit worse off for tyre wear with Sorokin now, but puts us back in line with everyone else. There should only be 1 pit stop for everyone else with this race to go. So yeah, we're just holding on here. Sorokin having a really good race, possibly his best race in this Williams car in the 2 seasons that we've had, or the 1 season and 3 races that we've had so far. I think he's had maybe a 7th or 6th. I can't remember what his best finish was last season. I should keep a little notepad with all the best finishes and stuff so I can refer back to it. Oh, and Hamilton's making a move here. There's no chance of stopping that Mercedes. He went into overdrive there. Maybe we should have responded like that, but we're only hurting our own car in trying to hold up Hamilton. A podium finish would be a good finish for us here. The rain's going to stop a little bit, but then it's going to pick back up into the territory. I can't even say the word. It's going to pick back up for the wet tyres later on in the race anyway. That is what's going to happen. The track at the moment is still suitable for wets. It's going to drop a tiny bit into the section where it would be suitable for the intermediates, but as it is, all the AI cars are staying out on wets, so we're going to stay out on wets as well. We're almost at the point where we could get in for another set of wet tyres that could get through to the end of the race. Can Sorokin do 14 laps? No, he can only do 13 on this wet tyre. So we're in a good position. The wet tyres work like the hardest compound tyre. They can get to 0% before they wear off, and Ocon loses his 2nd place. As we know, we've got no chance of holding up the Mercedes and the Ferrari. As we see, once they get past us, they can just blow out into the distance. We do have a little bit of fuel to push though, so if we can push a tiny little bit with Ocon, but we've got no real chance of keeping up. But as we see, Ocon is a long way further forward than Kevin Magnussen in 4th place. So it looks like we're going to be on for another podium finish here, and a really strong finish from Sorokin. We've got the 2 Red Bulls squabbling behind us, which is really good for us, and it looks like Daniel Ricciardo's got problems with his car as well. So Max Verstappen's possibly going to have a late surge at Sergei Sorokin. Possibly won't get that place as well, because Sorokin is not the quickest, and we're just waiting just to see when we can get in to make this final pit stop. We're at 30% with the tyre wear. Hamilton at the moment is at 26%, so just respond to the cars around us is what we should do here. There's not really anything we can do regards to try to undercut the other teams. We're a lot further back than anything needed to get an undercut working here. As we see Van Dorn in the pits, he's now being lapped, making his 4th and final pit stop. He's gone onto a wet tyre. So if we should try this for a little bit, maybe. We're starting to lap a few cars. We're 2.5 seconds behind, so we're going to push. I think we're going to see Vettel in the pits anyway. We're going to get onto this wet tyre, which we know can get through to the end of the race. The engine, though, is looking a little bit worse for wear at the moment. So maybe we can't push this fuel, so we're going to have to go back in medium. But we can certainly push the tyres. Sorokin's got another 2 laps to do off this one. He's not going to pit this lap, he's got to go another lap. He's up into 4th at the moment. Hamilton's got problems with his car as well, which might work out for us here. We're going to come out in front of him out of the pits. Where is Hamilton? Hamilton's still in the pits, so Mercedes still having reliability problems here, which moves Ocon back up into 2nd place once again, although he's down in 4th at the moment, but he's effectively in 2nd place because these other cars do have to pit around him. And Sorokin is going to pit this lap. Verstappen, is that Verstappen in front of him? Has Verstappen managed to get past him? It looks like that has happened, but we might be able to pass him in the pits because we should have quicker pit stops than him. We might be able to get back out in front of him as long as we don't fall too far behind him. We're about half a second behind. It's getting a little bit too much to get back out in front of him out of the pits. Ricciardo we know needs work. Sorokin does get back out in front of him. Sorokin does get back out in front of him. We don't have much room to push with the tyres because it's going to be touch and go. And Verstappen slow coming out of the pit lane as well. Ocon meanwhile has got a 5-second gap back to Kevin Magnussen, so it looks like another 2nd place is on the board for Ocon here. Sorokin currently 6th place. We need Sergio Perez to pit, so he's effectively in 5th place once again ahead of Max Verstappen. Ricciardo had problems in the pits. He's out in 9th place. Where is Bottas? Has crashed. Vettel, we've got Verstappen there. We've got one of the Renaults still running the points, which is good for the Renaults early on, as we see the McLaren 11th. Where is Van Dorn? 15th. McLaren's out of the points again. That is Verstappen coming back, but Sorokin manages to hold on to that place there as we're on lap 37 of 47. We've got a yellow flag in sector 2. That is Marcus Ericsson. That has crashed out of the Grand Prix in the same place that Valtteri Bottas crashed. Charles Leclerc's fixing his car at the moment, but Sergey still 6th place here. We're still waiting for Perez to make that pit stop. Hulkenberg's coming back strong as well in that Renault, so there's a couple of places that Sorokin could lose here. It looks like we're hanging on to this tyre, so if we get pushing, we're not going to be able to hold off Max here, although we do. Max slots in behind as we hit that little chicane. Doesn't manage to get past. We've got Kevin Magnussen right on the tail pretty much of Ocon now. He's got that 5-second gap down to 1.5 seconds at Mercedes. A lot quicker than us at the moment. Well, and I don't think we're going to be able to hold off these 2 cars. Is that Daniel Ricciardo as well, who's fixed his car? And he hasn't actually fixed his car, and he's off form as well, so we might be able to hold him off. Sorokin, maybe we can hold him into a 7th place finish. And there we see Max Verstappen as he threatened to do last lap. Goes flying down, although Sorokin gains that position back. Sorokin, a beautiful move, manages to get back past Max Verstappen, but I don't think we're going to be able to hold him off for the rest of this race. Ocon, meanwhile, is still holding Kevin Magnussen behind. He's still got that 1-second gap. Vettel is a long way out in front. Hamilton is so far behind at the moment. He's about 1.5 seconds quicker. 7 laps to go. There is a chance that Hamilton could catch up here, but it's going to be touch and go on whether he can keep those lap times going. So Ocon is still pretty much on for a podium place. Whether we can hold off Magnussen, that is going to be a little bit tricky. Do we have some room to push in high mode? It's going to be a little bit risky with the engine. But we'll do it. Sorokin though still holding off Max Verstappen. Ricciardo finally comes in to fix his whatever gearbox or whatever's wrong with his car. Comes all the way out into 16th, which is good for us for the constructors standings. Puts us only 10 points behind Red Bull if we can keep these places at the moment. Puts us into 4th, which is amazing. Esteban Ocon up in 4th place. So a brilliant race if we can just keep this going. I don't think we're going to be able to hold on to the 2nd. I don't think we're going to be able to hold on to the 5th. But Sorokin, an amazing defensive drive for him. He has been passed by Max Verstappen, but managed to immediately gain that place back. And as we see, the track is now in full thunderstorm mode. Max Verstappen looking up the inside, threatening down the straight. The Red Bull a lot quicker down this straight, and he does make the pass this time. No, but Sorokin, a late move into that corner, into the chicane as we've seen before, manages to hold off Max Verstappen. I don't think we've got much room to keep this in high mode either, and Max Verstappen makes that move in a part of the track that Sorokin's not going to be able to get back at him there. I don't think there's much chance of us losing this place to Perez, so if we keep pushing in push mode, to Sorokin. We're going to have to try keep Hulkenberg off him. Meanwhile, what's the engine looking like? It's still at 25% here. We're still holding Kevin Magnussen off. He's pushing on these tyres as well, so we might be able to push and switch the fuel back just so we don't have that engine fail on us towards the end of the race. And the Renault of Hulkenberg's right on our tail now. He's going to make this move stick. It looks like Hulkenberg tries to make the move in the same place that Max Verstappen did on the last lap. Sorokin drops back into 7th place. The gearbox going as well now. A lot of problems with Ocon's car, and he has been passed by Kevin Magnussen as well. But Kevin Magnussen gets past him and comes into the pits. Magnussen pits, so we're on for this 2nd place. Magnussen, for some reason, may be needing... Oh, and he's dropped all the way to 7th place behind Sergei Sorokin, so Magnussen obviously had some problems with his car as well. Sorokin right on the tail of Hulkenberg, but it's not going to be able to make that move stick. But he is up into 6th place, and Kevin Magnussen went into the pits to fix something, but came out with still a car that is not working, still working properly. The AI not doing a real good job of getting their reliability up to scratch in the early part of this season. But Ocon now is in prime position. Hamilton has not been able to keep his lap times up to that place where he's 1.5 seconds quicker than us, so we can just sort of sit back and relax now with Ocon. He's just going to bring this car home. So Rocky meanwhile has lost out to Kevin Magnussen. He's down in 7th place, not too bad for him, puts us at 44 points. Red Bull have picked up a few more places in front of us, but not to worry, it's a decent race. If we can hold on to this 4th place until the end of the season, the teams from 5th to 10th all look to be struggling. McLaren are picking up a few points now as Kimi Raikkonen has moved into the points. It looks like Toro Rosso are in for another long season. I think, did Toro Rosso finish bottom last time around? I think it was, but they stayed up because the Dams team in Formula 2, who are struggling this season, it seems like, refused to come up to Formula 1. Missed out on a hell of a lot of money doing that, but obviously they didn't feel they were strong enough. Prema winning in Formula 2 at the moment with Nick De Vries and Sean Gallego both winning a race apiece. But Ocon now we're finishing into, not finishing, we're going into the final lap. So here we go, 2nd place. We've got a car behind, that's Daniel Ricciardo, who's on fresher tyres, who came into the pits lapping a lot quicker than us, but he's being lapped at the moment. And these tyres just sitting nicely here. No real places to gain, no real places to lose. Ocon just going to bring this home. He's going to get passed by Daniel Ricciardo, is he? No. To enter this final lap, Daniel Ricciardo all the way down in 14th place. He's going to try and get a little bit of dignity back from being lapped. He doesn't manage to get past Vettel though and unlap himself. Ocon finishes 2nd. Sergei Sorokin will have him push across the line. It's not going to do anything for him, but Sorokin finishes 7th place. A decent place for him as well in this race. So Vettel wins the race. Lewis Hamilton in the Mercedes. Problems with the reliability once again for this Mercedes. 3rd place, the 2nd Mercedes, 4th. Red Bull of Verstappen, then Renault of Hulkenberg in 6th. The Force India Sergio Perez, the McLaren of Kimi in 9th. And another Renault finishing the points. Felix Rosenqvist in 10th place. Shouldn't be any scrutiny and problems with the car at this point in the season, but we never know. Hopefully it's something with Vettel, but it's not. And we hold on to 2nd and 7th there. So there we go, another silver trophy, this time in China. Excuse me, and it looks like Ocon's got a dodgy neck now as well, so his fitness is going to be down for the next couple of races, which is what we didn't want. That time of the season where dodgy necks seem to plague this series. But we can't do anything about that. We know he's got a dodgy neck. We see that fitness go down to 10, which makes him a 3.5-star rated driver now because his fitness goes all the way down to 6. He's got a new unlock, Pit Stop Guru Refueling, which is of no use to us since we don't refuel the car. His improvement rates are not that good at the moment. It's not improving that quickly. But there's still always a chance we can get him up to a 5-star driver. We came 3rd overall. Frank Williams still really happy for us. Although we don't see anything from Claire Williams in this game. We had Lance Stroll do practice, so we've got some money coming into the team to pay for the upgrades that we're doing. There was no race from Formula 2 this weekend, as it is for the pit crew. There's no real improvements to be made there. Vettel grabs pole. BBC Radio 5 Live interview with James Allen. Esteban Ocon has claimed that your brakes... always complaining about this. We just say he needs to button it because it's the only one. Sometimes gives them a -5% to their morale, but Ocon is really happy at the moment, and we know he's got the neck issues, not severe enough to take him out of the seat and put Lance Stroll in there. So yeah, so next time we do have the new parts to go in the car. We've got new front wings, we've got new rear wings, we've got new suspension, we've got the full new Aero package. The new Aero package looks like it's better than average in every area. We're still lacking in the gearbox and brakes. Hopefully we can get a couple of those built. For the first point, we can introduce power upgrades in the season, which is in Canada. Hopefully we can get 2 new gearboxes built and ready to go in the car for then, and then we're going to work possibly on a couple of new engine builds, and mostly concentrating back on the brakes and gearboxes again though, because since they're the weakest points in the car. We're not going to work on any more aero parts to the car. Maybe get a couple done for Phoenix, but maybe we're just going to work on next year's aero after we've got the engine upgraded to the point we want it to this season, because things are going pretty swimmingly this season, it has to be said. And we've only got one race left with these sponsors. Martini, long-time sponsor of the Williams team now, only a 4-star sponsor. We are a 5-star sponsor level now, so we will be getting a new sponsor, a new headline sponsor on the side of the car. Whether it's a sponsor that's good enough to base a new livery around it for next season, maybe. I do like this Williams livery, so I don't really want to get rid of it, but maybe I can be tempted if we get a decent enough sponsor, but we just have to see who that sponsor would be. But anyway, that is it for this episode of Motorsport Manager, the resurrection of Williams. Things going swimmingly. We might be in a position next season, considering how things are going, to be challenging the top 3. I know we're challenging the top 3 at the moment, but it's all pretty much down to Mercedes having a lot of reliability problems. We might have some reliability problems with the suspension in the next episode. It just depends whether we can get that second suspension up to scratch in time before the race happens. But Mercedes, Red Bull will be coming back stronger later on in the season. Esteban Ocon, I don't think, is going to be getting a lot more of these second places that he's been getting. A lot of it down to do with the strategy, especially in that race. We gained about 20 seconds through not doing that extra pit stop that everyone else did. If we'd taken another 20 seconds, we would have been around here with Ocon possibly in the 7th place that Sorokin is. Add another 20 seconds onto here, Sorokin possibly just outside the points. So it was all pretty much down, and due to the rain in China, looks like it's going to be fully it's going to be cloudy, but should be no rain. There's always a chance of rain if it's cloudy though. But yeah, things should be back to normal, but we will get to see what these new upgrades do to the car, especially through qualifying is the main place that we can see what is happening. But that is it for this episode, so new upgrades coming next time around. Subscribe to this channel down below, you know you want to. Leave a like, leave a comment, all the usual stuff. But until next time, I'll see you down the road in Portugal for the Tondela Grand Prix, and goodbye.